Hi, everyone. This is Christine Thompson, lead agent on the CT team. I've got Kevin Napoleon here with me again with Key Mortgage Services. And the topic today that we're going to talk about is gifting money. So, Kevin, I'm going to kind of let you take the floor on this one. And I have a feeling I have a couple new things to learn about this. So tell me about people getting gift money so that way they can get a loan through. Tell me all
Sure.
about it. What
Sure.
does
Hello,
that mean?
Christine.
Yeah,
So
hi.
gift funds is a very, very easy to use source, an immediate source for most parts for consumers to use for down payment funds or closing cost funds, you name it. A lot of people don't think that you're allowed to do that. So when they're stressed out about having enough savings for any down payment requirements, or once they realize there's other costs involved with buying real estate, they start to panic a little bit and think, oh my goodness, I have to wait another year and keep saving money. And then we'll, of course, go through their options, whether it's down payment assistance or possibly leveraging a family member that would be willing to give you money. And they are just shocked that that could be one of their options to work with, especially, and I'm sure you deal with this a lot, people that are trying to sell their house or buy a house non-contingent and they own another property and they're worried about, wait a minute, I can't buy a house until I sell mine. How am I going to get my money for a down payment? And boom, one of their good sources is gift funds. If you have someone that has money willing to give it to you, you could
Yeah.
leverage that for the time being. So one of the big misconceptions on gift funds is that people are going to have to pay all sorts of gift tax or income tax on that money. And even though we are obviously not certified public accountants, we can't provide information on tax laws. What I do tell people to start out by doing is contacting their tax representative, running this past them, and let me know if you have the conversation. And I will tell you, 10 out of 10 people will call me back saying, let's do it. I'm ready to go. Let's
What do
transfer the
they
money.
what do they report back to you after they talk to their tax accountant? Do they
Who do
say,
they
"Oh, we
report
don't have
back
to
to?
pay taxes on it"? Like,
Well,
do they
that's what
share
I'm
their
led to believe.
conversations with you?
I'm led to believe that the accountants, and I've talked to my own accountant as well, asking about this, and they say, yeah, if you're giving someone money to buy a house, there's no tax implication on that. Now, that could change every day, obviously, as tax laws change, but I've never had somebody say, no, I don't want to do this. And here's a good example. So let's say you have a husband and wife that want to buy a house, but the loan is only in the husband's name, and the
Hmm.
savings are in the wife's name. If
Oh,
the
okay.
wife transfers money to the husband, that is technically considered a gift in our industry. So
Okay.
certainly they're not going to pay tax from one another for transferring money into one another's account.
Right.
It's considered a gift in our world, in the lending world, meaning that it's not a loan, it's not another form of debt they're taking on. So it's money that is truly given to someone with no required repayment after the fact. So that's why we call it a gift. We don't
Okay.
report anything to the IRS. We're not sending in, any tax documentation that you have to sign saying, holy cow, you just got a lump sum of money. So if you think about it, I could give
Wow.
I could give you write you a check for $20,000 you deposit in your account. No one would know about that.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, that would be okay.
Send it
Um,
over.
the one big thing though of what not to do with the gift funds, a couple stipulations actually. It cannot be cash. So if someone is gifting $100 bills, that's going to be a problem because we can't verify the source of where that money came from. So everything
Okay.
has to have a legitimate paper trail to it. It's
All right.
rare nowadays you get someone giving you, 10, 20, $50,000 in actual cash, but it does come up sometimes. Plus, it typically has to be a family member. It can't be just a good friend or an acquaintance or a neighbor. They want it to be a mom, a dad, a sibling, an aunt, or an
Really?
uncle, or a cousin.
Why is that?
I don't know the back reason behind it. I'm assuming because people don't just give other people money,
Yeah.
whereas a mom or dad would give that to a child. Like,
Without
I've been
asking for
saving,
it back.
yeah,
Without
been
asking. Yeah.
saving money for you since you
Yeah.
were a child. Here's your down payment funds. But a friend usually isn't going to give someone $25,000 to go buy a house
Yeah.
and say, hey, you
Right.
don't have to pay me back. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
yeah, and they want to make sure it's not a loan because that's usually what would happen is they're going to borrow money
Yeah.
from someone. Now they have to pay it
Right.
back. We have to count it as a debt.
Yeah.
So that
So
just ties
someone
into
does
the
if someone does a massive garage sale or something, or they get like a bag full of cash from, waiting tables or something, and they're like, I'm going to give it to my cousin. They'd have to take all that bag of cash and put it into their bank account. And then from their bank account, they would have to gift the money, right? Or are they going to look at
Yeah,
the bank account? Where did
potentially.
all this cash come from that you deposited?
Yeah, potentially. It's almost kind of like laundering that money where you have to put that cash into a bank account and have someone else write a check from that account,
Yeah.
or let it sit there for 2 months. Once it's seasoned in the bank account, meaning 2 months or more, we won't see the
Okay.
deposit. So cash is always our enemy because there's no way to prove
Okay.
where the money's coming from,
And they
and
don't want
there's no
anything
explanation
fraud.
around it.
They don't
So,
want any illegal possibilities going on. So that's why cash could be an
yep,
indicator
yeah,
of something
there's a
non-legal
lot of fraud in
happening.
our world. So there's a lot of like firewalls people have to go through
Yeah.
to offset the ability to do any criminal activity. So there's a lot of money laundering, a lot of other
Yeah.
activity out there that people are
Yeah.
using the banking system to get around. Some of the other big talking points on gift funds is timing. So I always tell people if you're buying a house, you're going to use a gift. Obviously, the sooner the better. Have that money, get a check from whoever's donating the money to you, transfer the money, put it in your account. We could verify it. You can do immediate. Sooner is always the better. But in some cases, if you can't transfer money immediately, you can actually wait until the day of closing. So a
Yeah.
donor,
So
let's say,
that's shocking to me. I always
yep,
thought it had to be seasoned.
nope.
It's got a
Well,
season.
because it will be
Why does
seasoned
it?
in the donor's account, but it depends a little bit on a conventional versus like an FHA loan or a VA loan. There's different documentation requirements. But today, on a conventional loan, which is a majority of the transactions we're seeing because of the craziness in the market, a conventional loan will allow a donor to either wire money to the title company the day of closing or provide a cashier's check the day of closing, payable
Hmm.
to the title company, which is fine. The only reason I don't typically recommend that is because we have to verify some information from the donor that day. So if they're not available or they can't get
Yeah.
access to an updated statement, it'll cause stress on that closing time frame. So I
Right.
always recommend doing stuff in advance, but you could have it done the day of closing where you don't have to have the money in your account. It's still in the donor's account and they're sending it right to the title company.
Does a donor's account have to show that they had the money in there for a while? What if the day before they cashed out, some liquid assets and deposited into their account, and then the next day gifting it?
Yeah, they don't always have to verify the donor's availability to have those funds in there. So one
Or how
example
long
is,
they've had it in the account?
right.
They don't have to verify, oh, I've had it in the account for 2 months before
No, on a
they.
government loan, yes, they're gonna ask for statements to show that the donor had that money in there for a certain period of time. On a
What's the
conventional
minimal
loan,
time? What's the minimal time for these
well, they look back
government
at the last
loans?
2 months. They're gonna look at the
Okay.
last 2 months of statements. So if
So
they
does
see
it
an
have to
unusual
be?
large deposit, they're gonna ask about that deposit in there and say, okay, where did this money come from?
Okay. All
On a
righty.
conventional
Yeah.
loan, it's way less intrusive. So if someone were to write a personal check for a gift, all we have to verify is a copy of the canceled check showing that it cleared the donor's bank account. So it's
Okay.
just an image of the front and back. That's all they look at. Or if
Wow.
it's a cashier's check, they're going to want a show of withdrawal receipt from that account, showing that the money came from that account,
Yeah.
or a wire transfer receipt showing it was wired from that account. They usually don't have to look at bank statements on a conventional loan.
Hmm.
So be prepared for it in case some snafu comes up.
Yeah.
You want to make sure it is legitimate money. Don't try to hide something, but it's conventional loans the way to go with gift funds in terms of a donor that doesn't want to disclose much. It's way less involved. On a government loan, they want to see those bank statements from the donor. So that donor has
Yeah.
to be ready to share some financial information with
Right.
us.
So if you are the person receiving the gift money, be sure to tell the person that you're receiving it from. Please save paperwork, statements, anything, so it's readily available for proof of source, right?
Yeah. So what I usually tell people is if there's a gift involved, please set the expectation with the donor that they're going to have to provide some documentation. And it's probably better for the donor and I to have a conversation about guidelines and expectations. So going in, there's no barriers. They're fully aware of what's going to
Yeah.
come later on down the road. It's usually when they don't know that, and then at the last minute, they need to provide bank statements. They put up a fight
Yeah.
saying, hey, I'm not buying the house. Why do I need to provide bank statements?
Right. Right.
The
Yeah.
answer
Yeah.
is you just kind of became involved with this purchase because you're funding part of the down
Right.
payment. So now
Right.
you're in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
roll up your sleeves.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it's not that much work for a donor to do, but they need to be aware it's not just the actual execution of transferring the money, but some other minor paperwork that they
Yeah,
should be
donors are
available
worried
for.
that we're gonna uncover something because inevitably it's someone that's self-employed. They're trying to shield their income from the IRS, and they're
Yeah,
pulling money from a business account. Now we need to see business statements. So they're worried that, holy cow, I've been lying to the IRS for all these years. Now I'm gonna be exposed. And we don't look at it that way. We just need to show it's legitimate money. That's it.
yeah, that's
And if
it.
it's not legitimate money, then we just don't use it. We don't call a government agency and say, hey, wait a minute, we have someone on 123 Main Street that might be doing tax fraud. We're not regulating agency. So we just say yes or no if we could use it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So just to wrap this up, and you're talking to a new client and you make that suggestion, what would be your quick elevator speech about gift money? Just to wrap it up in a summary.
Quick elevator speech to a person is, just so you know, a gift money can be a legitimate source, immediate source of money for a down payment. All you need to do now is call that person that you think would give you the money and ask them if they would be willing to do it and what dollar amount, and we can deal with the paperwork after the fact, a little bit later on down the road. So then you can
Awesome.
go out and buy a house and have those numbers in the back of your mind, and then we'll execute the gift after you're under contract.
Right. Perfect. I love it. And then they can worry about after the fact, after they close, if they want to pay that money back to the party that gifted the money or not.
Yeah, most of the time there is some sort of repayment. We don't care. We're out of it by then, but we just have to have
Yeah.
in writing that there is no repayment required and we're good to go. We don't look back after closing.
Yeah. Awesome. Kevin, this has been fantastic information. I always appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you so much. We'll put all of your contact info in our little notes about this event. But if you could just tell everyone right now, whoever, if you're watching, here's Kevin's contact information if you want to reach Kevin for more information about gifting money or any other kind of loan questions you have. Kevin, what's the best way to reach you?
Sure. My cell phone number is area code 630-956-2648. And email address is kevin.napoleon@mykeymortgage.com.
All right, Kevin, thank you for your time. We'll be seeing you in the next week. Everyone who's watching, have a great weekend. Take care.
Thanks, Christine.
Thanks, Kevin. Bye-bye.